How we doing, everybody? This is Let's Be Real Brad, and today I'm going to be reviewing my worst movies of all time. This list is the hardest list I have ever been able to put together. The fact that I'm trying to find all the worst movies possible that I've seen and make a definitive list and say, hey, this is the worst movies possible, just sounds insane. There's probably some movies that I have not seen that can probably make this list, but I have seen a lot of crap movies. You don't want to know. You don't want to know what my eyes have seen. I'm going to go blind. We're going to go to least worst to the worst in this list. So, number 10, The Room. The Room is definitely one of the worst films I have ever seen in my entire life. The Room is so hilariously bad and has one of the worst scripts I have ever seen in a film. It still manages to be so ridiculously funny, so incredibly stupid, that this film actually has a massive cult following. It is so cringy in so many moments of the film that I feel so uncomfortable watching it. But after each rewatch, I just absolutely love this movie and I need to get the Blu-ray. So if anyone wants to give me a birthday gift this year, well, The Room Blu-ray is definitely what you need to get me. Number 9 on this list is Cats. Cats came out last year and I could not believe this was a movie. The issue with this film is the CGI is horrendous. The songs are completely awful, so pointless, doesn't work for any part of the story. It is so creepy that I don't understand how anybody can even watch this film and not feel like, wow, this is really creepy. I'm kind of scared right now. I want to go home and I want to be with mommy. Number 8 on this list is The Son of the Mask. Now, this is a film I haven't seen in such a long time, but I remember being one of the worst movies I've ever seen as a kid. CGI is so terrible with the dog, with the little baby, that is so noticeable. I think even for its time, it looks so terrible. They got Alan Cummings for this role, who played Nightcrawler in X-Men 2. What the heck? That's pretty bizarre. And it stars Jamie Kennedy, who also played Randy in the Scream franchise. What a departure, man. Wow. That got real bad for you. Number 7 on this list is Jaws: The Revenge. This is the 4th Jaws film in the Jaws franchise, which is the final of the Jaws franchise, and this completely ruined it. The fact that the first 3 Jaws films were all these fun summer shark movies. First one's obviously one of my favorite movies of all time. Fantastic. 2's kind of 3's pretty bad. But this one goes on another level. And I'm going to spoil this right now because why are you going to see this movie? The wife of Adrian Brody, who is the main character of the first 2, didn't want to come back for these next 2. So they killed him off. And now the wife of the film thinks that the shark, hear me out, the shark was buddies with the other sharks. And now this shark is coming back after the family with this new revenge, trying to kill the family. What? And apparently she has these weird psychedelic powers that she can understand where the shark's coming. Makes no sense. This movie is so incredibly boring. It is so dark and not even what it reminds me of a summer movie. There's like barely any action whatsoever in the film. The minor details of how the shark moves are completely disposable. Doesn't even matter what the shark does. Nothing of the physics even matters. The script makes no sense at all. Like, what were they thinking? What were they thinking with this script? I could have wrote a better script. I don't know anything about screenwriting, and I could probably figure it out and write 100 times better script than Jaws: The Revenge. This probably made me so mad considering Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time. But this movie is so bad that maybe it just skyrocketed forward. And I realized they did not give a crap about this movie. Considering it was made by Universal, who has been producing these movies, trying to make a ton of money, a major studio, why would they let this happen? Screw you, Jaws: Revenge. You stinking. I hate you. Number 6 on this list, Holmes and Watson. Holmes and Watson is one of the most boring, ridiculously awful comedies I've ever seen in my whole life. This movie had somewhat potential going in with Sherlock Holmes, with being like this parody comedy with John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, who are a really great pair who have done a bunch of movies together. This movie had nothing going for it. They throw in these modern day pop culture jokes that won't even last 2 years and will already be so so boring. Nothing actually happens in this movie. The story is so bad. It feels like they just didn't care and they let every actor in this film just improvise every single line. I'm not kidding. Watch it for yourself. You want me blinded by the darkness? Here you go. Holmes and Watson. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly don't even try. They showed up for the paycheck. The distributors gave them the money and said, hey, you like money? We like to make money too. Here you go. And they barely even made money. I don't even think they made any money on this film, considering just how bad it was. When I went to go see this film opening night on Christmas Day at the 9 p.m. showing, because I have nothing else better to do with my life, I had about 5 people walk out in my auditorium because that's how bad this movie was. I almost walked out, but I was like, you know what? I will sit through the whole movie. I will sit through the credits because I am a man. Still, it was pretty horrible, and I regret my decision on doing that. Number 5 on this list is Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill is that one movie that is so annoying. I don't understand why they went this concept of Adam Sandler playing 2 people. Ooh, that's so cool. But now he's playing a girl version of himself, and now they're called Jack and Jill. Like, you know, the traditional fairy tale. Is it fairy tale? I don't even know. What were they doing with the comedy? Comedy is so bad. It makes me cringe at every single scene. I'm not kidding you. Dunkachino? Really? How did they get Al Pacino in this movie? How much did they pay Al Pacino to be in this movie and do a song about Dunkachino? Filled with a bunch of nonsensical pop culture jokes, extreme amount of annoying farting jokes, and humor that is just meant to be stupid and to have people really enjoy it, but it doesn't work on any level at all. There is nothing clever, there's nothing witty, and there's nothing in this presentation that's like, wow, I need to see this film. Adam Sandler is just a joke and only made money based on the premise alone. I saw this movie as a kid in the movie theater, and I thought it was good. Until a couple years later when I rewatched and I realized I was a very dumb child. I don't deserve to like movies. Number 4 on this list is The Master of Disguise. I watched this movie for the first time maybe a few weeks ago because my friends made me want to watch it. Let's just say it was awful. What is Dana Carvey doing in this movie? He is a funny comedian, but this movie does not work at all. I know a few of you have a bunch of nostalgia for this film because you watched it as kids. Unfortunately, if you watch this movie again, you would not like it at all. And if you did, it'd be nostalgia only. None of this movie makes sense at all. I'm not sure what they were going for because each scene feels like just a different SNL skit with a bunch of different characters that Dana Carvey dresses up as because he's a spy or something. I don't really know what he is except the turtle. Like, shut up, be quiet. Be quiet, turtle. But yeah, I don't understand what was the point of everything going on. It has literally one of the most cringiest dialogue I've ever heard in a movie. It is so annoying. Yeah, this movie is just beyond annoying, and it gave me a massive headache watching it. When this movie ended, I was like, thank goodness movie ended. And then there was a bunch of credits that I had to sit through because they all had a bunch of stuff that had to relate to the story or some kind of joke, and I'm like, give me a break. This movie will never end. And I'm glad to the people that really enjoy this movie, but I'm telling you, if you give this movie a chance, you will never want to watch this movie again. I could not ever sit through this movie again unless you pay me like $1 million because I have a lot of artistic integrity for that. Number 3 on this list is Birdemic, Shock and Terror. This movie almost didn't make my list, but when you found out this movie actually played in a movie theater in Los Angeles, this movie counts. This counts as a feature film. The issue with this movie is it is so amateurish. Everything about this movie is awful. The editing, completely trash. Probably the worst editing I've ever seen in a movie. The acting, like I directed these people to do the acting and I told them what to do. It is so bad. The birds are awful. They don't hold up at all. They didn't hold up in general. The story makes no sense. There's 5 million subplots. They don't go anywhere. This movie's supposed to be like a horror movie, and it's one of the most least scary movies I've ever seen. This movie is so laughably bad, and there's such a lack of detail in every single shot that I don't know how this movie made it to a Los Angeles movie theater that made money at the box office. So yeah, it's not my number 2 worst just because it is very amateurish and The guy who is making this movie has clearly no idea what he's doing. I probably could just sit around and just make fun of how bad this movie and make a really long video of it. So that's why it's number 3, because these next 2 movies are some of the most annoying, ridiculously terrible, and made me so angry watching these movies. I almost could not stand it. I almost broke my TV. I almost threw a rock at it because that's how much I hated these movies. And they are made by the worst directors of all time. Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer. You guys did it. You guys made the first 2. I'm so glad I didn't watch any of the rest of the movies in your amazing catalog here. Because if I did, your movies would rank all 1 through 10. Because honestly, these 2 movies proved you guys don't give a crap about movies. So we're going with number 2, epic movie. This movie does not understand what parody is. Parody is supposed to be making fun of something and having a bunch of creativity and fun that pokes fun at it, but it has an interesting way of looking at it. This movie does not understand that whatsoever. It is just a bunch of pop culture references from like 2006, 2007 thrown into this movie. If you don't know some of these pop culture references, this movie is going to be completely random. You have no idea what's going on. Luckily, I knew many of the pop culture references since I grew up in this era and watched many of these movies that they do make fun of. Every joke is so annoying. Every performance is so terrible. And the writing is some of the most obnoxious, ridiculous, terrible writing I've ever heard in a movie. Every single frame, every single shot has no detail, no passion, and absolutely no creativity whatsoever. I sat there like this. I don't know how this movie was made. And this movie made money. Yeah, this movie made money. What was there people wanting this movie? I have no clue at all. The song in the end is so hilariously bad. The Pirates of the Caribbean song. There's parts of this movie you can literally make fun of how bad it is, but there's so many moments in the film where I was so bored, so ridiculously predictable jokes, and some of them that just made no sense that tries to be so dumb it's funny, but it's just not at all. Number 1, We Are Here. You guys may know what it is if you guys know these filmmakers. Number 1, disaster movie. Now, I watched Disaster Movie, an epic movie, a couple nights ago because my buddies recommended me to watch this because they said it would make perfect for this list. And you know what? It did. Disaster Movie finds to be even worse than epic movie that came out literally like a year later. This one, however, has 2007 pop culture references, but you know what? Even has more. 2006, 2005, bunch of other pop culture references because who cares? And you want to know why this movie is a lot worse than epic movie? This one doesn't even have a story at all. At least like epic movie had a story that pretty much followed the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe and had a bunch of pop culture references and was just pretty horrible overall. This movie is supposed to be like a disaster movie, but just random things come out of nowhere. We got Hellboy, we got Iron Man, we got Alvin and the Chipmunks, we got the characters from Enchanted, we got High School Musical, which had a hilarious, ridiculous, dumb scene that made me laugh out loud because of how bad it was. They don't explain anything about the disaster. It's just there to give them plot inconveniences of why they can't talk to each other. It gives them excuses to bring all these random pop culture references. The whole movie is literally them going to a pop culture reference, pop culture reference, pop culture reference. Some of these movies I did know, and some of these people I did know, but there's literally so many. I had to go on the Wikipedia page and actually look up every single references in the movie. And someone was like, oh wait, I have seen that movie. I didn't realize that's what they were doing in this scene. This movie is so ridiculous that there's a song at the end that literally has them singing, Batman is crush on Iron Man is crush on the Hulk. So they just go through every pop culture reference and just say they have a crush on him in this really terrible song. So at the end of the movie, like, oh, hey, you know this reference? Or maybe years from now, like, hey, if you don't know these references, you can look them up and you'll actually like our movie and think they're funny. Haha, no, not funny. You guys are not funny. You guys are terrible. And you guys are one of the worst filmmakers I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm glad you guys make money. I'm glad you guys do that. You guys have no artistic integrity. Anyways, after my long traumatic breakdown, this movie has officially scarred me for life. I sat there not knowing that if I even liked movies anymore. Could movies be this bad? Could movies just be one of the worst things of all time? Well, this movie definitely proved it. And there is not enough to make fun of this movie to just be a so bad it's good movie like some of the other movies on this list. This movie just made me so angry and just so uptight, and it just made me want to rip the universe in half. So I hope you never watch any of these movies, especially Disaster Movie and Epic Movie. If you have seen any of these movies on this list, please let me know. What did you think about it? If you actually like them, let me know. Also, list some of your worst movies down below so we can have a great conversation about some of the worst movies that I may have not mentioned that possibly could make this list. Please like, share the video, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. As always, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.